All right, Coffee with Gaz here with Anthony Rodriguez.
It's great being with you today, man.
Dude, well, I appreciate you. Where's the? I was expecting security too. Someone that works at the state, right? At the state level. I was figuring, know how to security.
No, man,
not yet.
No. That's not me. I'm not there, and I stay humble, man, no matter what. But no, I'm not. That's for the governor, and for federal offices, man. We're just in the legislature. We're just doing the work of the people, man. We're trying to do the best that we can up there, and I think I'd like to think that we do a pretty good job, and we just came out of a legislative session just under a month ago. Which I think was very successful given the pandemic and the year that we just came out of. So,
well, we've known each other for a little bit, and obviously, a lot of respect for you getting into public service, right? Anybody who does that and works, puts themselves out there, number one, right, and then works to help others, have the utmost respect. So, kudos to you for doing that, man. So, obviously. And I tell anybody in your position, whether I agree with you or not, like the fact that you do that, me kind of, because I don't have the courage of doing that, No,
it's not even the courage, guys. It's just basically, I think no matter what you do, whatever business you're in, there's difficulties to it. There's challenges. There's things that are positive, things that are negative. I think to your point though, what you're saying, the only thing when you're an elected official is you're at the forefront of it all, and you're being scrutinized. You're in the press. And it's almost like people feed off of negative stuff, which is it's sad,
it's
right?
Disappointing. It's disappointing.
But they're almost like hoping that you fail to see what's the next headliner, what's the next press release that comes out against you, right? Because that's what's juicy.
It is, and to that point, I've always looked at it. No matter what you do on either aisle, like the day you get elected into office, half the people don't like you. No matter what, right? So it's almost trying to prove everything you're trying to do and kind of misconstrue it. And with the information now, it's insane, kind of goes out there. So like, how do you, from your point of view, how do you make sure that your message is being not only put out there in the correct way, but also, people are understanding what you're trying to say?
It's difficult, man. I mean, it's certainly a challenge that we deal with every single day. But my main thing, more important than the message for me, is knowing that I voted, that I do what I feel is correct, so I can go to sleep at night and not have any demons bothering me.
Sure.
And I always do it thinking of the people I represent and making sure that years to come, when the years go by, that my kids could look back and say, you know what, my dad really did what he thought was best at the time. And they might disagree. Even my own kids could disagree with me at one point or another, right?
Which is fine, but I think you mentioned the intention of it, right? The intentionality of it is like, this is what I think is the right thing to do, and you kind of follow your heart.
And I'll say this, man, this is not something I say every day in the legislature specifically, and that's where I serve now, so that's all really I know. In the legislature, the Republicans and the Democrats really agree on a lot more than what people know. And to that point of the intention, a lot of my colleagues on the opposite side of the aisle, although I don't agree with their policy stance, I know that I do know them personally, and I know that their intentions are good, and they're really good people, man. Family people, husbands, fathers, wives, mothers. They've got the right intentions. They just have a different philosophy. They have a different state of mind, and that's okay.
And that's what makes us
great.
The great, right? Being different and having. Imagine if everybody was the same. How boring would it be, right? If everybody was just like you. But I think, but just being able to have that conversation, I think is like, I think where we've lost that, I kind of blame, it's funny, we're doing this on social media, but I blame the ability of getting information so quick and the amount of disinformation. Dude, it's crazy. You mentioned about negativity. That's what kind of stirs the pot, right? Yeah. This is like a clickbait type, model now on all these, basically with the media.
Yeah, and this is a very cordial conversation we're having that's going on social media. But I will tell you though, Luis, this social media censoring is a very real thing. Forget about the political party as well.
Right.
But it's a very real thing. It's happened on both sides. It's happened to Democrats. It's happened to Republicans, at least in the political field, right? Which is where you see, censoring the most. It's a very real thing. We just passed, and I don't want to get too much in the weeds of policy, but I'll mention we just passed a bill here in Florida where we are not allowing social media outlets to censor people's freedom of speech, and if they do, they can be fined. I believe it's up to $250,000 a day for closing down your accounts and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's such a dangerous way of just picking and choosing, right? What can be censored, right?
Oh, and losers and winners, man. They've got the power. They own the platforms. They own the space, the web, the all of it, and they're basically picking winners and choosers, winners and losers across
Both sides.
Yeah, across both sides, man. It's dangerous, but man, I still, even though there's a lot of things that worry me and that concern me and that we need to keep an eye on, I still feel that we live in the best country in the world.
100%.
I feel that we live in the best state in the world.
100%.
Very business friendly state.
Yep.
Low taxes overall, as much as I wish they were lower, and I will continue fighting for that as long as I'm an elected official. I do feel that it could be lower, but we are one of the lowest ones in the country, and we're healthy. We just finished legislative session. We balanced our budget. We went into session thinking like, hey, we're gonna have to take a major haircut in our budget. We have a $101 billion budget in the state of Florida, and we thought we were going to take a major haircut, which means a lot of schools. The education space was going to take the largest healthcare, so all college systems and schools, and then secondary would have been the healthcare space. So any hospitals, medical stuff would have taken a big haircut. But we were blessed, man. The economy started to come right back up. I believe our governor has done a great job. It's just my personal opinion, and some may disagree, but I think he's done a great job. Nobody was prepared for this thing to happen.
And nobody, and again, picking and choosing. And I agree with you as well. Like I think he's done a great job. I mean, you can pick and choose and nitpick certain things, but compare us to other states. There's no playbook for COVID. Even as a business owner, I'm completely transparent. We did decisions and making choices. You can't sit back. And it's true that the biggest proponents, in my opinion, sometimes when people are criticizing anybody, my business and politics, those are the ones that don't do anything.
Correct.
Those are the ones sitting, not actually getting involved, right? And I wanted to ask you, because I just feel like in what you do and for people to get involved, so many people have opinions, voices, they have the right to do that. But I think a lot of people don't know maybe how to get involved. You think it's kind of like a catch-22, because so many people tend to be like, they want to go help, they want to get involved, right? They want to just make change. So much of it is screaming. It's kind of saying, if I'm the loudest, I might get attention. What would you be advice to anybody on any specific topic to get informed, accurately, but also get involved to try to change that?
Yeah, so there's many different forms, right? It just depends on what that person wants to accomplish, right? Screaming and being the loudest is not necessarily, and in fact, I disagree that that's the right way to do it all. I think that's the worst way to go about it, in my opinion. But there's several ways, right? So, if you want to be at the forefront, you want to ultimately be an elected official, there's one way to do it, right? And it's getting involved in different campaigns. It's going out there and meeting with your local elected officials, getting to know them, helping them out, volunteering, interning. If you're in college, do some internships with them, right? So there's that, and then there's just getting involved, people that don't have any aspirations of being an elected official, but they still want to make a difference. They want to give back to their community, and there's many facets to that. There's many ways to do that. And one of them is, again, it's just being an activist, right? It's just being a community activist. You don't have to scream and shout. You could do that organically. Again, meet with your elected officials. Politics, whether you like it or not, and it's been for years that way, and it'll be for years to come that way, moves our world, everything. We just did legislation, very business-friendly legislation in Tallahassee, where we're protecting business owners in advance from what we expected was going to be a big amount of lawsuits coming for COVID,
right?
For COVID liability,
sure,
right? So somebody at a restaurant could, an employee at a restaurant could say, "Oh, I got COVID and a family member passed away," or whatever that case may be. That unfortunate event, we caught it at your restaurant because you weren't mandating a certain thing, right, at the time.
I mean, and it isn't that piece of legislation, which obviously us in the insurance business was a big issue, right? I mean, we saw that coming because, I think we have the best legal system in the world. It's also the most expensive.
It is very expensive.
So it's kind of one of those things where we saw it on our end on anything, the potential COVID type claims coming in. Insurance companies are terrified as far as like what it's going to cost to defend them. So all those little things, most people don't understand. It's a trickle down effect. That peace of mind allows insurance companies to underwrite, predict kind of how to basically price certain accounts moving forward. It's a huge sign of relief for us.
It's huge. I mean, and for many small business owners across the state, it's a huge sign of relief. I mean, this could have been a real big problem, and we nipped it at the butt, and we cut it at the root right before it even grew. But the other thing that really concerns me, Louis, is which people have not yet started to experience that side of it, even though we're feeling it on the COVID side and the unemployment benefits and everything, is the minimum wage that's going up. And I was having that conversation earlier today. I was sitting at Sergio's restaurant, and
Nice.
and I was,
of course,
yeah, and true story, I went in London Square, and I was having that conversation. I mean, minimum wage is very concerning. Do we all want everybody to make more money? Absolutely. Nobody, not one side or the other, wants people to be in poverty or not make enough money to meet ends meet. But there's a very much concern, right? Like in my business, here's a comparison that I make. My business, which is in property management, as you know, is a very fast-paced business, right? Everybody in my office makes over $15 an hour. Everybody. The thing is, so you would think it won't affect me. Well, here's the thing. It does affect me on many different levels. One of them being that a person that works in my office may look and say, well, why do I want to work at $15 an hour for Anthony, and where I'm under a lot of stress?
Yeah.
It's a very fast-paced business.
Sure.
Well, I could go work at a gas station or a Burger King and not have any stress and make $15 an hour. So that's just one issue, right? And then the issue of price increases going up for everything, for supplies. I mean, you can't even buy wood these days. And that's one of the things we were discussing this morning is the cost of wood to build is just, God forbid, knock on wood, right? As they say, if a hurricane comes this season.
we talked about this earlier. I'm concerned about it. We had a meeting the other day about it. I mean, with the cost of wood, hurricane season upon us.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be an issue if we get hit directly, and we have a lot of roofs being damaged. Think about it on our end, right? You got damage on the roof. Insurance companies are, as it is now, take sometimes a little bit longer to adjust, right? Pay out claims. You might have your claim paid, but where are you going to find a roofer? Where they get the materials? Now you got a roof with a tarp on it and a renewal coming up. You're getting non-renewed. You might not be able to find insurance. It's kind of, it is stressful. Something I don't want to. We talk about it internally. I don't want to. It's something that
It's very concerning.
it's super concerning.
It's very concerning. And look, at the end of the day, one thing our community has, aside from the political division and everything that we've seen over the last few years, one thing that our community has is that when there's a disaster, we come together.
Yeah.
And it's proven time and time again. It's unfortunate that's when we come together.
That's what it takes, right?
That's what it takes, right? But at least we do. And we're there for each other, and nobody thinks about who you voted for or what political stance you have. There's a tragedy, we're there, and I believe that at the end we'll overcome anything, man. We're built this way, and not just in this country, but in Florida, and definitely here in South Florida.
One thing, going back to the minimum wage, and obviously there's some unemployment, underemployment issues, and that's never kind of going to go away. I've always thought that, it's not, it's the amount of opportunities. And I think that has to start, pre you looking for a job, right? But the preparation growing up from the education side, the school system, so much more information to give power to people as they're going through the process of what they want to do for a living, how they're going to get there. It's the old school. Are you going to get an internship? Like those sacrifices, some people cannot do it. I think so much as far as being able to find those opportunities. I think that's the biggest, it's kind of like the one underlying issue nobody talks about. We talk about what we're already there, but how can we get people better prepared the 5 years before you get to that point?
Correct.
And all these decisions you make when you're young affects you getting older. That's the thing too, is like, where's the accountability of that as well? Sometimes that doesn't tend to pop up.
Yeah, and look, that's one of the things that we've focused on in the last couple of years in the legislature is educating our kids, providing additional funds and revenue, and money essentially to make sure that they have the right training, not just the education, but the training to get into the workforce and the workspace. And we're doing everything we can. And I think, and again, we have a very healthy state. We have a good reserve, so we're spending a lot of money in education. But at the end of the day, the person needs to want it as well, right?
Correct.
What's that saying? You could take the horse to the lake, but you can't make it drink the water.
That's right. That's right.
So, but yes, everything's there's so many different opportunities, so many things available to want to succeed. But one of the things is I think in a couple of days here, we will not have the unemployment benefits anymore here in the state of Florida.
On the 31st, right? July 31st?
I think it's the 26th, June 26th.
Or June 26th,
June
right.
26th,
Yeah,
it's
coming
getting
up.
cut off. It's in a couple of days.
Right.
So I understand that it was a very needed thing And it was, by the way, it was a very needed
No,
thing.
it saved a lot of people. I mean, again, going back to COVID, like who wrote this playbook, right?
Nobody knew this would come. But I think that there's enough job opportunities now available in the market that people can start, whining off of unemployment benefits and getting back into the workforce. And we need to concentrate on that, and obviously concentrate on good paying jobs, but nonetheless get everybody back to work.
Let me ask you. So now you're making a move. I know you announced it, I think 3 weeks ago. Working in the state legislation. Now you're going to come down to work on the county commission.
That is correct.
So how would that? How was that transition work? How did that thought process go?
Yeah, so it was very simple. It was a very simple decision essentially for me to do. So I've been in the Florida legislature now for going on 4 years, right? And I could do another 4, so I could do a total of 8 in the legislature, which everybody would say is a smart thing to do politically.
That's the playbook.
Yeah,
that's all. I was curious to ask you.
So politically, and the easy thing to do and is to stay there. But guys, when you don't do this for power and you don't do it for a title, you make your decisions of making a change is much easier because you want to do what's right. There's a spot opening up where I live, which is currently held by Commissioner Javier Soto. He's been there for almost 3 decades.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. He's very loved in the community, and I happen to live in that district. He terms out, so he's retiring from politics, from what I understand. At least he can't run again for that seat. And I've always loved local government. That's how I got involved in politics, really, is dealing with the county, dealing with the issues that, all the bureaucracy and the red tape that makes it hard for small businesses to succeed. All the fees, the licensing fees, the certificate of occupancy fees, the violations that the county puts on people. So that's how I got involved in politics. And now that this opportunity has presented itself, it's a no-brainer for me to get into the county and try to make a change. There's a lot of fresh blood in the county. I think that between my legislative experience in Tallahassee and my business experience, I think that I could definitely bring a lot of good to the county. And my focus there is going to be what it's been in Tallahassee, which is focusing on small businesses, on the residents, or the people of the community, what the issues are. We need to improve police enforcement. I mean, police is in Miami-Dade County is great. It's one of the top police forces in the nation, but we need more. We need more resources for police officers to be able to secure our streets and our neighborhoods.
Right.
So that's going to be my focus. I'm very hands-on. I love talking to people. I love dealing with people, and I love helping. And that's what a commissioner does, right? When you have a pothole in front of your street, you call your county commissioner to make sure and report it and make sure it gets fixed. And if your garbage wasn't picked up, you call your county commissioner and you let them know so that they can get it, picked up.
Yeah, it's like that. It's like because obviously you're from here and now going back to your community, you're able to kind of, you're helping, I guess, on a macro level at the state, and this becomes kind of one-on-one, right? You're able to walk to your neighbor and say, I can help you with this, a specific issue. I was going to, and you answered the question before about why, I was going to ask you why you got into politics.
That's like I said, man, it was just the bureaucracy and dealing with all the violations, things of the county, just issues that impair us from conducting business and focusing on what matters, on our families, on growing our businesses, and seeing that government is too large. We need smaller government. Do we need rules? Absolutely. We can't get rid of government, but we do need smaller government. That's what I'm all about, and that's what I focused on in Tallahassee, and we'll continue to focus that here on the county level. So I look forward to it, man. I'm excited for it. Like you said, I just filed for office June 1st, a couple weeks ago, and already building a lot of momentum in the campaign.
When is the election?
Election is next year in August.
Oh, so you're starting now. You're starting a year in advance.
You always start early, man. You got to start early, and this is a marathon. This is not a sprint, right? So you got to start early. But I still have another year left in the House, right? In the House of Representatives. So my focus still remains serving my current constituents in the legislature. I still have another session left. We'll be back up at the end of this year for committee weeks, and then January starts session. So but I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm excited.
You know what I respect most about you? I remember when you first ran, like you didn't come, like you don't come from an office or a family of like generational politics, right?
At all.
Not at all. You're something you wanted to get into. And I remember you doing grassroots campaign, knocking on doors. But the first time you ran for the first seat, your current seat now, I believe, right? You lost by a few votes.
Yeah, so
you were like the underdog that kind of.
I still was till just a year ago or so, man. And that's what makes it so much better, right? And the number one question I get asked, and because there's this stigma and there's this, well, historically that's been the case, is, are you an attorney? And I'm not. I'm just a Westchester boy,
Yeah.
born and raised in Westchester, right here in Miami.
Yeah, I mean, and dude, and you did, not only did you just do it, but you know, most people would have gave up. Like, you shot your shot, right? You worked 2-3 years, putting your business to the side, kind of out of nowhere, right? Quote unquote. Not in the political scene yet.
You can't give up, Luis. What
No,
would
no,
that,
I'm telling you. But
what would that show my kids?
No,
You know, you giving up. I mean, you have kids. I mean, you know,
it's not an option.
it's not an option. It's not an option.
It's not an option. But you seen you do that and say it, maybe pivot now. You're like, no, this is my calling, and you went back. And then on the next election you won, so that's, and Louis, for me, that pumps me up.
As cliche as that sounds, it is my calling, man. I love it. I love to help. That's the part I love the most. Now, is there days that you get frustrated? Absolutely, but overall, I love helping people, and even if it's not in my silo in the state, I help people in all sorts of things. I mean, look, immigration issues, passport issues are not a state issue. That's a federal issue. But I get those calls all the time. Your average elected official would just say, "Hey, that's not the state issue. You got to call your." Right. I take it and I streamline it for them. I still do it because that's what I love to do. I love to provide that service to my constituents. So
I don't think many people realize how accessible, like, you know, people in office like yourself are. Right? They assume it's kind of like can't get a hold of you, but you guys make yourself very accessible as far as being able to help, take phone calls, even office visits.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Anybody that has an issue, a question, just wants to learn about anything, has a real problem at home or in their business, anything. I mean, we are available. That's why we're elected. And you know, through years, some elected officials may have created that idea that, you know, they're on top of the world, that they're very important people. No, we're not, man. You know, we're elected by the people for the people, and we're doing the work of the people. And if we're not doing the right work in your opinion, then you need to vote us out, right? Or vote your elected official out. So yeah, we're very accessible, man. For the most part, at least my colleagues in the Florida House and in the Senate, at the state level, and most of the county commissioners here, they're certainly the new ones for sure, and even the old ones, they're very accessible. You just got to reach out. You got to pick up the phone. You can't be intimidated, by the way. This is normal. You know, you have an issue. That's what we're here for, is to help people. So I encourage everybody, if they have a real issue, is find out, go online. You just have to, you go to the elections department, you put in your address, and it'll give you a list of all your elected officials, federal, state, and local, and reach out to them. Send an email, call, with whatever the issue is, man. Whatever the issue, whether your garbage didn't get picked up.
I mean, and that's where going back to getting involved. Like, if people, the information's out there for you to be able to get involved. Like, if you want change, like, there's plenty of ways to do it. Right. And I encourage you, and I appreciate you doing this. Number one, we've known each other for a while, you know, and watching you in your political career, making this change. I'm excited for you because I know you personally. Obviously, you have my support as a friend. That. We might not agree. We agree on most of the stuff.
I think we agree on most of the things.
We agree on most of the stuff, but even we don't agree. You know,
let's not get too political on coffee with guys.
Yeah, we're not gonna do that. But either way, again, I respect anybody in your position and what you do and the public service you have. You got my respect. So I look forward to seeing you just continue the evolution of Anthony Rodriguez, man. So
appreciate that, man. And I will tell you, man, I'm a little disappointed that we're drinking water and not cafecito.
I know, but it's almost like once it get past
a certain
time, it's almost lunchtime. You know what I mean? Like that. We'll do. It's the post lunch cafe. Plus, you were at Cerdo's today, by the way. Best coffee, right?
It is the best coffee and very good croquetas too. So
there you go. My grandmother and my mom appreciates that.
There you go.
Thanks, brother, for doing this, man.
No, man. It's been my pleasure, man. I look forward to doing it again.
Awesome.